Yo, 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 welcome back to the Beardworks Podcast, Episode 8, I believe. Nathan, what's going on?
Hey man, how are you?
Oh, freezing my titties off.
It is very, very cold. Australian winters are hitting us hard.
Yeah. We got another special episode today. We got my friend Dylan. He's got a YouTube channel, Tavshki. What up, Dylan?
Hey guys, what's going on?
Oh, just a couple topics today, bit of a chat. So yeah,
Nice.
Scads, I reckon we get this rolling.
Yeah, sure. So obviously, Dylan, thanks for joining us. Your YouTube channel has it's been up for a little while now. It was about 7 years, I believe. 2013 you started it?
Yes.
This current one.
Yeah.
This current one, exactly. Yeah, no, it honestly 7 years ago it started as just a channel where I put our short film we made in year 12 that actually had quite a bit to it. A lot of eventful stuff happened while we were creating it. So
Is that the Inglourious Bastards one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, with that video, while we were filming it, what happened was, because it's a recreation of a World War II film, if you haven't seen it, or if you haven't seen it, the audience, whoever's listening, there's a scene where a bunch of Nazi German soldiers are being captured, and basically the Allies have captured them, and then they bring out this guy who's notorious for beating Nazi soldiers with a bat. And when we rocked up to the place, we had to park on a side street in front of houses. We had guns, like fake guns, toy guns, painted.
Bats.
Yeah, we painted over the orange tips. We grabbed them and we ran down to the said tunnel or the said place down in from the road. So what happened was we started filming, and as we were filming, we were all standing and discussing the thing. One of our good friends, Jake, was standing, and he looks up and he goes, I see someone in the bush over there. Or no, we see a cop actually in the distance. Just standing there, 2 cops standing there. They was just standing there talking to each other. So we were staring at them. I'm like, okay, what's happening? And then one of us looks up to the right along the ridge, and there's 2 cops with guns pulled with the vests.
Yep.
And then there's a few others behind us coming from the tunnel way. And basically, they all come out of nowhere. And the lucky thing was, Jake told us, because we were like, oh my god, he said, drop your guns, just drop your guns and put them on the ground. So we dropped the guns and they came out of the bushes and we're like, they're fake, they're blah, blah, blah. And they came up all calm and collected. They weren't yelling or anything, which was probably the better part, because I'd expect them to be a lot more forceful, but they all came up. They said, next time, we got a couple calls, he's like, next time you do something like this, call the Christie's Beach Police Department or your local police department, and just tell them where you're filming, so that when people call up alarmed, that they can just be reassured. So
I never knew that shit happened.
Wow.
I've seen the movie, but I never knew you got guns pulled on you.
Jeez.
Yeah, they had guns drawn and everything. So they were ready to, they would have been as afraid as we were, basically, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Australian police, it's not every day you're surrounding people with guns. So, I mean, they're probably new to it, but most of the time, they think it's fake guns anyway. So, I mean, we were year 12, so we weren't looking too much like kids, but at the same time, who knows? So,
yeah, Scads, they recreated the scene from Inglourious Bastards, where the bat dude comes out and
the Jew bear.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's a crazy story.
No, it...
as you're telling it, I'm just thinking in my head, I was like, what happened? How did this happen? And obviously
start the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy to think that. So that's your first, exposure to YouTube. You're saying that was the video you guys created.
That was the first video I uploaded to YouTube, like on that channel. When I created it, it was actually meant to be for me and a friend to upload YouTube videos, but that was a really small idea, and then it disappeared quickly. And then from there, I think my whole interests converted that year, I reckon, in grade 12. I reckon it just all went from film to be focused on 3D animation. But at the same time, I still have a love for film, like I think it just veers towards VFX, basically, like all the animations I can do, what creatures I can create, like what can I implement into a live action film, that's my end goal, is to create a creature from scratch, motion capture it, and then place it into a film, basically. So
that's awesome.
Scads, he bought what are the arm rigs for like Planet of the Apes, so you can crawl around like a monkey that Andy Serkis uses.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
so
really?
He's got them to like film himself.
Yeah. The thing was, though, I bought stuff to make a DIY for it.
Yeah.
So my grandpa actually made them for me. But obviously over these 7 years, I reckon a year after I started the channel, I started getting into motion capture. That meant that I'd have to be the minute I got motion capture, I was ecstatic. I just loved it. I don't know what it was. I just love the fact that my movements could be implemented into a character.
Yeah,
it didn't matter what character. The most bizarre thing that I've motion captured is, I think, in one of my videos, there's Mothra from Godzilla.
Yep.
And all I did was swing my arms, and I could implement that into Mothra's like wings, basically.
Yep.
So,
did you see the Skyrim 300 video on his channel, Scats?
No, I've been going through a bunch of videos. Obviously, I watched the big ones, like the Toy Story ones.
Yeah.
I love the Batman one. That was quite good with the uncaped kind of thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah. They're just small projects that are just
And that was the thing I was going to bring around to, is that your biggest one was the Toy Story bloopers, the first one. That was 19 million views.
Yeah.
Now that's a minute 12 video. How long does that take you to put together?
Well, the thing was, when I started it, when I started doing this sort of stuff, I was getting into the programming of animation.
Yeah.
And with this program, I think the first scene you see where he's walking through the vent, that was only a lighting test. That was basically, because I remember that same day I made it, I even uploaded it to Facebook and said to all my friends, family, all that sort of stuff, because it was a new thing for me. I'm like, check out my lighting test I did with, a few models and all that sort of stuff. And basically, from there, I decided to expand upon it. And I remember it got to the point where I finished the video and then I uploaded it, and that's it. I didn't expect anything from it. All it was basically upload one of your childhood favorite segments, and then for some reason it puts out a sinister vibe for most people, or just a creepy vibe. It's more of a creepypasta sort of thing than anything.
Did Reddit, is that what took it off? Did Reddit get it?
No, I think what got it was creepypasta. I think the fact that Woody, in I think around that time, around 2015, as it started taking off, I think he became more of a creepy sort of way of appealing to the younger generation, because the younger generation love creepypasta. They all love horror. They all love this. And the fact they see Woody creepy, I'm guessing that's what brings them to it. Because, you just think, oh, well, it's Toy Story, you know what I mean? But why am I getting all these comments about it's creepy, and I love it, all this sort of stuff, And I'm like, the intention of this video is not to be creepy. This is just me recreating like Toy Story bloopers because it's like one of my favorite childhood things. That's it. But it just took off.
Well, definitely that when he's walking in the vents and you can hear like the echo and the laughing, it definitely you can see it being a scary thing. But
yeah, definitely. I just never. I never intended for it to do that. So,
well, even the thumbnail, with the quite large smile.
Yeah.
I think that's what people got interested in, have a click on it, and obviously to see and to show.
Yeah.
But no, I think obviously it shows that the themes around the things. So like obviously the Toy Story ones do your two most successful videos, and then even the Godzilla, versus Ping Pong.
I'm glad, 100% glad that I'm not a one-hit wonder.
Yeah.
What I did was I uploaded it because I love the MonsterVerse. I could honestly, it's just one of my favorite things. And the fact that I have appealed to 2.5 million people on a small thing that I just put together, it really makes me feel like my channel can get somewhere dynamically, basically. Yeah. I feel like for a while there, I thought my channel was just a one-hit wonder for YouTube kids or something like that. It's what it was turning into, and I didn't want that. I didn't want, to be this channel that wasn't actually meant for children, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't want it to be like, oh, get your kid on the iPad and he'll click on my video and all that stuff. I don't want that. I don't want to go down that weird path, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's just too weird. If I was greedier, maybe I would probably start popping out like kids videos, like, oh, you blah blah blah, and get money for it. But I don't know. I think I've just got more integrity than greed, basically. So
you're definitely good at animating. So when you do upload, it's always a banger. Like, you always get good amount of views, and it's always good to watch. I've been through your channel heaps of times.
Yeah, so that's the thing with what I experimented with 2 years ago. So 2018, I experimented with making a small Woody video, Woody and Buzz, basically. Just a little like, what can I get from this video? What is my audience going to do when I upload this video? Are they going to watch it? So what happened was I made this video. I just made it up on the spot. It's basically Buzz is snoring. It's got Kevin McLeod over the back of it. It's just as kid as it gets, basically.
Yeah.
But it has the element of creepy in it. So you've got Buzz sleeping there, and then he wakes up and Woody's just like full staring at him, like he's possessed or something. Falls down. He pushes him, and Woody falls down. They go under the cabinet, like under the bed, and Woody's there under the bed, and he slides towards him like a demon. That's it. That's the video. All right. What that video was to see where my audience stands with it. But the thing was, when I uploaded it, at this time, it's got 1.2 million views.
Jesus.
And it's monetized.
Ooh. That's awesome.
So I am getting a bit of money from it, but I think the clout of Toy Story is probably a little bit stale at the moment. So,
well, the last movie wasn't that popular, was it?
No, yeah, not really. I mean, the thing was though, I get weird comments. I get people like, I think it's all 2-year-olds and all that, and they just say F or ha ha ha, or it's it's Hispanic mostly as well. You can always see like the English, like the non-English comments and all that. But then I got this one comment. And I'm like, and it's a girl, and I think it's a mum or something. She goes, "You disgusting pervert, making money off of something, this, that." And I'm like,
has she ever been on YouTube before?
I'm like, yeah. How about you go watch like Spider-Man and Elsa, have fun in a Lamborghini or whatever the hell it is. You know what I mean? Like Kobe Pearson and the Bradbury twins, in disguise. It's just like, YouTube, I'm glad they brought out this YouTube guideline for kids because it, as much as people go whinge and complain that they have to put it's not made for kids, all that sort of stuff, and they don't understand it well, I'm glad it's a thing. So
we've only just started on YouTube, like uploading just our podcasts with no video, just a thumbnail.
Yeah.
And even when I'm uploading, tick not for kids.
Yeah, no, that's a good thing. And with your YouTube channel, you have built, and this is what I always wanted, and I always feel like I wanted to do it. I wanted my channel to be a figure created channel. You know what I mean? I wanted to be a personality.
Yep.
But I feel like I'm just the quiet animator in the background that uploads it, and everyone watches it. But with those Godzilla videos and all that sort of stuff, it makes me feel like, okay, if I go to a certain point or a certain concept idea based off of something that already exists and my own version of it, I can upload it and I can get an alright amount of views for it. So
I mean, from what you're saying is that, I mean, you don't want to fall into the niche of like just doing something that's popular. You want to do something you're passionate about and that you enjoy.
Yeah, definitely.
So like obviously from your current videos, or not some of your current videos, but your videos that were the big hits with the Toy Story and the Godzilla one. Do you have any like long-term projects that you'd like to create? Obviously, you could. I'll see some people in the comments asking for part 3, the Kong versus Godzilla one. But
yeah, well, I think the idea is, I have all these ideas. I have, Godzilla versus Kong. I think when it comes to me, I think it's down to the execution. I feel like I can't really achieve as much as I could like I used to anymore. I feel like the more I upload, the more my standards for a 100% upload is getting higher.
Yeah.
So with part 3, I don't want to just, go in, motion capture, and then upload it basically. I want to put more thought into it, I want to put cinematics into it. But then at the same time, I'm also limited by the program that I've been using for 7 years. So that's why I'm trying to convert to Blender.
Yep.
So
that's pretty
Blender is this universal program. I can bring whatever I want into the project, like into the project file, and just do whatever from there. I've been learning Blender, but I think it's just, how do I go from creating a script to doing it all myself? You know what I mean? I'd much rather much rather do it with a team, basically. So I think
have less of a workload and actually spread the workload over a group of people.
I'm happy to do the animations and stuff, but I can't think of a story. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like when it comes to this sort of stuff, as a group, personally, I feel like, Nick and a few others in that sort of group we're in, they're more of the story and idea guys, because I can't really think much of a story. I'm not really story idea sort of person. So,
but what you're saying, you have the people around you as a collective mind to create something good. It's just like, obviously, coming together is the tough part these days.
It is
having different time schedules. So, but no, that's good to see that you're aware of how you feel about where you want to do and what you want to do. It's just like you got to take that next step, which is the hardest part, is getting a small team together that can create stuff. And the thing is, you don't have to, like, you're not on an upload schedule like similar to where we are. We want to do one a week. You're not pumping out videos one a week. You can actually just create stuff and make it a long-term video rather than giving yourself a deadline of next week or so.
Yeah. At this point with my channel, though, I don't really care anymore. If I make something, I upload it, and that's it. I know I should be expanding with the sub count that I have, but I feel like deep down, I feel like I have the wrong sub count. Mostly. I feel like I've got a whole bunch of kids subscribers, and that all they want is basic stuff. So that's why whenever I upload, I'm just gonna upload like memes basically. Or even if I have to, I'll make another channel and just see how I go from there.
Yeah.
That's all. That's just me. I feel like, you know, with this sort of channel you guys have created, it's a lot more laid back and you can discuss things, and it's really good. It is seriously an underrated sort of way of producing things, you know what I mean? You know, even when I was told that I could come on the podcast, I was out there and I was staring at my big table, and I'm like, imagine if we just set up cameras and like the H3 podcast and just record the table and then have a TV screen over there, you know, and just talk about things and have a long podcast and just do all that sort of stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's a goal for you guys, is to have a video podcast, you know, with an operator who's switching the cameras and streaming it live, basically. So
we definitely have a long-term goal. We just want to get our feet off, like, me and Nick have already discussed like how we want to see ourselves in 12 months' time, because I think you can't work off a month by month. You have to work on long-term vision.
Yeah.
But obviously, with us living in different parts of the state, it is going to be quite hard. But there's no reason you can't do the webcam kind of thing where it just we have, you know, us two just to ourselves through obviously our mics and our cameras. But I definitely think I would love to do a like a gathering of like a, you know, 4 or 5 people. We all get around and, like you said, set up a table and do like a video podcast, do like a special like 50th video episode, you know?
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Like, it is seriously a good place to discuss, you know, all the relevant topics. You know, you've got plenty of Australian YouTube channels that have that sort of thing, but I feel like the YouTube community needs a bit of Southern spice. You know what I mean? So,
well, they got Josh at the moment.
Do you
reckon is he bigger than Raka Raka?
Yeah, he's number 1 in Australia now, I think.
Oh, nice.
So,
and you help him out with some stuff, don't you?
Yeah. I help him out with commissions and stuff for avatars and all that sort of stuff. I think that kind of revolves around what I do for YouTube. You know what I mean? It all adds up in the end. You know, over the last 7 years, coming with porting characters and creating characters, I can use that in games basically. And now I've got, you know, Josh, who's taken off. I can make avatars for him and I can just give them to him. You know, it all comes around in the end, your knowledge of what you're doing. You know what I mean? It can be used in many parts of social media. So, yeah.
So
it's all the same kind of field, like your animations, you're creating avatars, and like, I've seen all that shit you do. It's hectic. Like, I would never even know where to start. Like, because I've only started with Maya recently at uni, and I've got more of appreciation for your fucking shit. Well, it's so hard.
Yeah. The thing is I haven't done any course on it, and it's taken me 7 years, or probably a bit less than that, 5 years, just to get an understanding of everything that I do. You know, for it's basically like, you know, for Nick, it's how to do a certain stroke better. It's just drawing. It's like just drawing a picture for Nick. But for me, it's just, I can create a character and I know how to attach like the skin to the skeleton. You know, I know how to attach this, and this. Basically, it's just your trade. You know, it's your passion for the trade that you want to do, and you know you can get better with it if you give it time. So
no, that's heaps good. And it's so good to see that, you know, over the 7 years that you've been on YouTube, that you've put up stuff that you're just happy just to throw up there and see how it goes, and to see that you've got, like, you know, 27 million views, and you just, and the thing is, obviously, like you said, you're not really pursuing to see what to do next. You just, like you said, you might make a new channel or something like that, but to see that your work is appreciated, and it's been over a large amount of time as well.
Yeah. I mean, at the amount of subscribers I have, I don't have any. I feel like I don't have any connections to the audience.
Yep.
You know, I feel like if you guys got to 47,000 where I'm at, you'll have an audience that actually ask like questions and will actually try and connect with you guys. But I feel like I don't get that from my audience. So that's what I mean. I'm not here to talk down my channel. I'm just like
realistic.
I'm being realistic, you know what I mean, where I'm at with my channel. So and I want to convert my audience basically. So
it would be so easier. That's so much easier for us if we had people asking questions. We wouldn't have to think for shit every week.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
I mean, that will come in time, though. If we just keep grinding away, you know, you get a little bit of a niche, and you get some people to follow you, and then you can do like the Q&As like once a month or something like that. And but I mean, so overall, obviously, you have not really an idea where you want to go next with your channel, or if you want to start the next one. But the thing is, you're obviously so invested in motion capture, and obviously,
I'm always, you know, my current goal right now is I've got VR, right?
Nice.
I've got the headset, I've got the controllers, but I also bought trackers. Trackers you attach to your feet and your pelvis, and that achieves. They are good.
How much are the trackers on the actual feet one, like on your ankles one, cost? Are they?
They are, because of HTC Vive's partnership with Australia. It's very quiet, or it's very it's not very stable, and it's not very good for the consumer. Basically, the import rates are a bit high. But I think I'm pulling through with it all. They're about 160 on the official, and then resellers on Amazon are selling them for about 260. So they're very expensive, but what I want to do with them is, because I know that on VR chat, you've got people who do full body, you got people who do like full on dancers. They're professional dancers, and they attach these to their feet, and they cater to people inside the game for dancing. But what I want to use it for is attaching them all, and then being able to use a program to record that data and then attach it to a rig, basically, and go from there. You know what I mean? Like, I'd love to be able to use all this potential stuff I'm using and be able to convert it properly. You know, it will throw my old system out the way. I've been using the Kinect system for ages, because Nick knows I've been using it for a long time. He was in my 300 video, 6 years ago. You know what I mean? He came around, and that was probably the only time he came around to help me out with something. And then I reckon 3 years later or 4 years later, he comes around. You know what I mean? And it's like it flies. Is basically what I'm saying. It's just 6-7 years of just absolute like time flying, and it's like, where are we now? You know what I mean? It's like, we're here. It's 2020. It's just like, whoa.
Well, I think that makes a really good transition to our next topic, is that we want to talk about obviously what you've been playing recently, and the stuff that you enjoy doing in your spare time. So obviously you really enjoy VR. Now I myself, I bought a gaming PC I think 2 years ago now. And I bought the HTC Vive when one of our local electronic shops was shutting down. They were doing a clearance. And so I've got the HTC Vive, and I get into these like grooves where I just play it for like weeks on end. Not so much like every day, but I'd play it for like 2 or 3 times throughout the week. And then all of a sudden I'll put it down for a few months. Like I think it's because it's not so much I lose the interest. It's just some of the games are quite shallow, obviously, because it's just not there yet, like VR gaming. But it's getting there.
Yeah. I mean, you are right. The VR gaming pool of consumption is just very shallow. You've got games that are being, they're being, half-assed, basically.
Well, there's people, the companies that are putting out the games like are mainly independent ones. There's no AAA. I mean, the only one that I've noticed so far, obviously, is Half-Life Alyx. I've heard that you've played and you really enjoyed.
It's my and that's the thing. It's my favorite game.
Yeah, it is. So obviously, that's been made by a full-time, They've been put.
Yeah, it's a AAA company. Yeah.
And so what I was going to say is that I went back. Have you played The Walking Dead: Saints and Sinners?
Yes.
Yeah, and so that's my version of a AAA game at the moment.
Yeah, it is a very what's the word? Yeah, it's a very well made game. Basically, it's you can feel the drive of a knife into a skull, because that's all I think about when I think about the game is the fact that you can stab a zombie and it's got friction.
Yeah, you have to actually push through the skull.
Yeah, you gotta and you gotta pull it out, all that sort of stuff. I think the idea with VR is people need to make a game that's worth you getting set up into VR.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I feel like the bridge between sitting on your computer looking at a game to play and then being in VR can be very off balance if the game's not as great as you expect. You know what I mean? I bought my Oculus broke. Yep. So I had to buy a whole new Vive. And the thing with the Vive is you go out there, and depending on how you set up, is you put the headset on, all that, put your headphones on. Is the game worth you doing all that, you know what I mean, just to play for 10 minutes, you know what I mean? And I'm that type of person that doesn't really like to sit on games in general for a whole lot of hours. I like to keep myself grounded. Yep. But if the game's worth it, I'm happy to grind out 2 hours, but I just need a purpose for those 2 hours, you know what I mean? Otherwise, I'm just wandering around, doing all this sort of stuff. So with that said, though, when you're saying AAA games are in like they're on the like in VR systems,
yep,
they for some reason they all go to Oculus. Yeah. For some reason, they just decided it's an Oculus exclusive. You've got, what's the newer one? There was a newer game that's only on Oculus. I think it's like Star Wars, Darth Vader.
Oh yeah, that little storyline
you
play. Yeah, that. Yeah, I know that sucks because I'd love to play that.
Yeah,
only Oculus.
Yeah. But with certain programs, you can play Oculus exclusives. It's just a lot of proxies, a lot of it's basically your VPN, but without the lag. You know what I mean? It's not as stable as it is, but it's workable. You know what I mean?
Well, that's also similar to like the PlayStation 4 exclusive, the Iron Man VR experience. Like I'd like to play that too, but obviously
it's honestly it's just down to money in the end. It's down to whoever buys the partnership. It's whoever will sell, whoever will give them the most money for putting the game to the right producer. You got Steam. Steam's not great for deals. They're greedy. They'll take most of the money. That's why people have gone to Epic Games Launcher or all those other things. But with VR, I think in the end, VR is just going to be, it's still early stage.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's been out for so long, but we're still working at the kinks. And there's like one of the guys I bought the game, the Boneworks game. Obviously, Brendan JLA, from obviously he's done stuff with Freddie Wong and Corridor Digital and stuff. Absolutely love those guys. Like that whole crew is so cool. They're good to watch. Like obviously Corridor Digital is awesome. I love like the Node Gaming channel. That's awesome as well. But I know Brandon's been working on Boneworks stuff, and he's like 100% invested in it, and obviously it shows that his stuff is some of the best VR content out there.
It is, and it shows it shows how dynamic a channel is. Back to YouTube channels, is they can produce, for 7 years they were probably the inspiration behind putting a muzzle flash on a gun for me in a video, all that sort of stuff. The first time I ever saw him was him teaching me how to do a certain effect in a video. And look at it now. 2020, he's the guy behind Boneworks, a VR game. Like.
Have we played Boneworks at your house, still?
No. You've played Blade and Sorcery,
which is fun.
They
Star Wars mode is wild.
Yeah, it is. They brought out telekinesis natively to the game, and Yeah. So you can force choke someone basically, but it's like sorcery. So it's like purple wrapped around their neck, and you choke them. And it's funny because you got them, and you can pull them down, and they'll kneel. So their rig, their animation is actually dynamic to what you're doing. So if you got there by the neck, you can actually force them to the ground, and you can pull them forward if you want, and you can grab them physically.
Because I've been playing Blades and Sorcery for a little while. I haven't played it since for a few updates now. I just love that game, going hacking and slashing. It's a bit of a workout. Like, you build up a sweat throwing it around.
It is. It's a bit broken.
Yeah, janky.
It is. Yeah, you've got, when you swing a sword, it's almost like the dream It's like the dream sort of dynamic when you're in a dream and you're throwing.
It's like a rubber band. It's like a it's just like a wet noodle sometimes.
Yeah, it is. It's like when you're in a dream and you try to swing at someone, or you try and hit them and that nothing happens. You're trying to hit him, you can't hit him, basically. But that's I feel like that's honestly down to experience. You know what I mean? It's like, if you've actually killed someone in real life with a sword, I feel like your dream would be able to accumulate that sort of thing. But yeah. So it's the same thing as punching someone in a dream. Like, I've had plenty of dreams where I've, they're bizarre. I've plenty of dreams where that's happened. But with Blade and Sorcery, you got this swinging this sword, and you're so awkward with it because the way you're holding it with your controllers, and you go to swing at someone, it's just not. I don't know. It's. I think they've added too much weight to the weapons and all that sort of stuff. So, I mean, Boneworks is, it's realistic, but the conversion between real life and that, the way you pull yourself up, the way it just doesn't feel, you know what I mean? And it's a Unity game. It's a Unity-based game, and Unity is very free. It's a free game. Yep. Everyone always aims for, Unreal Engine, all that sort of stuff. You saw the Unreal Engine 5 demo where it's got trillions and trillions of polygons. But with Unity, it's down to who you are and how much you know and how much you're dedicated to making the game.
Yeah,
sure. They're fantastic with what they do. You know what I mean? Like, Brendan's just crazy at what he does. He's very passionate as well, which I admire. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
But
I'm struggle with VR. Every time I've played it a few times. PSVR, the Vive, and that.
Yeah,
I always get such bad motion sickness. Even at your house, still, and after Blade and Sorcery, I had to get off after a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like, initially, I feel like over a certain amount of time you'd get used to it. It's because it's not constant, it's because you don't own your own system.
Yeah.
It's just occasional sort of thing, or if not rare, you know what I mean? Like, the last time you played it was months ago, you know what I mean? And if you got into it a bit more, you know what I mean? I feel like you'd get over it pretty quick. I think that goes for everyone, I reckon.
Yeah, so. It's like you just have to you got to push through that. And I mean, I know there are people that naturally get sick from, like, they playing VR, they get quite unnervy and they feel a bit crook. But I know for myself, I can get through it fine. I just lose where I am. I need a bigger area, and I actually need to set it up properly, because sometimes I go outside my area and it just like screws it up, and it just takes you away from the immersion, which
Yeah, I think I know it's very specific audience when it comes to the full potential of VR. You need a big room. You need this. You need that. You know what I mean? You got to cut your arm off so you can get it. You know what I mean? Like, it's such a early thing. You know what I mean? But you look back on it, and it will be like looking back on a Sega Genesis or something like that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's the start of like something massive.
Yeah. And you tell your grandkids, you're like, this is what I used to wear, and you just see them with just dots on their fingers and just dots on their forehead, and they've got holographic sensors in their room, and they're generating, through these goggles. It's basically Ready Player One. You know what I mean? I reckon that's the future for VR. So it's all it's all early stage. I expect every household to have a VR, by a certain time, because I feel like that's what everyone's always wanted. Ever since gaming was a thing. You had the old YouTube. I mean, you had the old YouTube. You had the old TV shows. You had Futurama, where they log into the internet and they go and travel to the internet.
Yeah,
that's basically VR. They all had the goggles on, they had the gloves on and everything. You know what I mean? And
every kind of futuristic thing you think about, like in movies or TV shows, involves some kind of augmented reality,
exactly,
or virtual reality. So we think that our perception of the future is virtual reality.
Exactly. And I've always wanted to, the concept of VR hasn't really appealed to me until I used VR. Yeah. I used the phone. I used the phone and the goggles. I'm like, oh, look around. Oh, look, there's a dinosaur.
The Samsung, yeah.
Yeah, all that sort of stuff.
I've got one right next to me, yeah.
And then, when you actually get a system with the hands, you feel like you're there a lot better. You know what I mean? Like, what I'm hoping, and this is the thing with VR chat, you've got this. I don't know if. So what games have you played, Scads, on VR where you're, like, in terms of size, like what thing made you feel the biggest? Is there any games like that at all? Or?
Well, I really loved the Saints and Sinners and the Blades and Sorcery game.
Yeah.
Those two games I find the most. I don't know. It's really hard to say because I've also got the Pavlov game where you play like this first-person shooter.
Yeah, Pavlov. Yeah.
Pavlov, sorry.
Yeah.
Which I don't mind as well, but I find that using melee weapons is the most realistic thing. Yeah. Obviously, I've also played. I forget what it's called now. Let me just have a look. I'm looking through my library as we speak. There's a few games I've bought that I haven't even touched, and that just happens on Steam no matter what. But Raw Data, I think, is really good.
Very early game, yeah.
Yeah. I've played the Star Wars Trials of Tatooine, which is just a little short thing, which is cool though.
Yeah.
But other than that, I still think the most like simplistic and game that I just can enjoy the hell out of is just Beat Saber.
Yeah, Beat Saber is for me. Beat Saber is very. What's the word? It feels like Guitar Hero. It's the Guitar Hero of the current generation. Yeah.
VR, and it's an entry level game too, and it's so simple, and the beat and the music, and it is fun. Like, and it's the most simplistic thing because you just use and it is obviously like two lightsabers. And lightsaber is the most commonly known weapon in the history of movies and TV shows.
The best weapon.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is, and when I tried Beat Saber, I feel like I bought it on the wrong platform because there wasn't a whole lot of selections for me. I haven't really touched Beat Saber. I've been mostly VR chat and all that sort of stuff. That's actually where I met some of my really good friends now. You know what I mean? And I've been friends with them for years. You know what I mean? Like, it's just crazy. How many people you meet in different countries, you know what I mean? And what I mean by, like, when I play VR chat, you got avatars of different shapes and different sizes, it's almost Ready Player One. But there's this crazy perception of I got the Vive trackers, right? This is a scenario. I got one Vive tracker at the moment, and the other one's coming. But when you turn into an avatar that's huge, everything, your perception on the world changes as well, like the scale.
Yeah.
People look like figurines. So my thing is I've ported the Beast Titan from Attack on Titan.
That's sick.
And I'm going to get the foot trackers and I'm going to scare people with it. So I'm going to
That would be a good video, Dylan.
That's what I want to do. I want to create avatars, have full body, and this is probably one of the goals I should have brought up, but it's kind of floating around in my head. And just create avatars and scare people. You've got people who do that already, but I feel like if I get like a bigger creature and just, run up and jump and land on like a couch, and then for them, I'm landing on the ground and like next to them.
Yeah.
And then I got the voice as well, the real deep voice is like, hi, you know what I mean? And he talks to people and they freak out, you know what I mean? Like it's a crazy potential idea you have, but obviously the wall in front of you is money.
Yeah.
So it's
not cheap hobby.
It's not cheap. It isn't cheap at all. So that's what I mean though. But if you've got the right idea for your investment, what you can do is you've got the trackers you get, and then you can implement them into a lot of other things in your life, depending on what you're doing. Yeah. You've got motion capture, you've got gaming videos, you've got all that sort of stuff. I feel like these trackers are could be utilized a lot more in terms of motion capture, low budget compared to normal motion capture systems that range from $24,000 to $50,000. So it's your trade, you know what I mean? There's burdens, there's curses. It's just
you just need to invest in your area of expertise, and
because
otherwise you're just gonna be blowing money on stuff that you don't really need. But in saying that, this obviously back to like just general VR, where I want it to go next is that I love I've got Everspace. I haven't played it yet. Where obviously you're in space and it's fighter, and you can actually and you control it in VR, which would be super cool. Another game I think would be absolutely awesome, and I want to see it, and it's because I'm a massive fanboy, and that's any kind of Gundam game that you play as a pilot inside a mech would be kind of cool. Obviously, you won't be seeing, because obviously if you put your eyes through the eyes of a pilot inside the mech, you only see certain bits. So obviously they'd have to do like an updated version where you sort of see it's like a mirror, so you can see straight through. Well, not so much a mirror, but it's like transparent. You can see your Gundam on the outside, so when you swing your arms, you're actually doing that. So that'd be really cool.
It's crazy with that sort of stuff. With a mech, it makes you feel a lot bigger. And the thing is, you've got certain worlds on VR chat where people can sit on an object and you can pick up the object no matter what size you are. Basically, there's a snow sled map. And every object on that game was a car or a sled. You sit in it and someone grabs it and they can push it. But what happened is one day I got as I think it was either the Colossal Titan or the Armored Titan. I can't remember. But the minute you turn into them, you pick up these people and you just swinging like 40-degree angle. But to them, it's like 60... What's that? 60 meters in front of you, basically. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, have you seen Iron Giant?
Yeah.
When he picks him up in the car and he swings him around and he keeps spinning him around like it's a show ride. When you spin around on a show ride, it's like that. To them, it's like this huge thing is picking you up and throwing you. And the thing is, once you got them, you can throw them, so you can toss them so far. If it comes down to scale, they should be making more games that appeal to Monsterverse people, like to fans, because you can feel huge in VR, or you can just, the size is not it's so dynamic that if you wanted to be in a mech, you can, and you will feel the weight, you'll feel the beefiness, you know what I mean? And that's the end goal, is for anyone in VR to be whoever they like. So
I didn't realize there was a scale, like a size conversion in VR. Like if you're giant, you can throw your tiny avatar and stuff.
It is it's amazing what you can do. It's like the first time I turned into a giant avatar, everyone seemed like little figurines on a shelf, basically. That you think, I can be huge in VR, but no one really thinks about your perspective. You know what I mean? No one, and I didn't think about it. And I don't, until you actually do it, you won't think about the perspective that you see of everyone. It's like you're standing on this say you're looking at a table, and you've got your forks, and you've got your it's like a playset, Barbie playset, like a house. You're just like little people there, and you poke them and all that sort of stuff. You wish you could pick them up, but obviously limitations of VR, you can't really do that.
Yeah,
but
well, I mean, yeah. Either way, VR is got a bright future ahead of it, and like you said, I reckon it'll be in every household eventually. So, but let's move on. I mean, we can talk about VR all day.
Yeah.
But let's talk about a movie that we've all recently seen, and it was interesting because it was an Australian film, and that was Relic that came out on Netflix.
Stan.
Was it Stan? Oh,
Yep.
Excuse my language. It was not Netflix. But yeah, so coming out on Stan, and I knew it was helped. Like the executive producers were the Russo brothers, but I did not realize that Jake Gyllenhaal was involved as well as a producer.
Really? I didn't even know that.
It was okay. Anyways, I'm going to say my bit after you guys say your bit, just in case. So obviously, Dylan, what did you think of it?
I thought it was above what I thought it was going to be. It was actually very, very well made, if I'm being honest. It had for an Australian film, and when I say for an Australian film, it's Australian films can be not as heavily invested as an American films, because American films are most invested in America. But as an Australian film, it just has that AAA quality to it, you know what I mean? Is whereas some you watch, you don't feel like it's AAA. But yeah, I thought by the end of it, I'm like, that was actually quite a good movie. So yeah.
Nick, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I definitely thought it was all right. I just feel like the build up throughout, like excusing like budget and cinematography and everything, like it looks very nice. Just going on the story, I feel like they build up until about halfway that you think it's going to be like a haunting from the dead grandpa, and then it just goes to like a weird house, and like I don't know, it's hard to explain. But I feel like they set up like a ghost kind of haunting, and then it's a bit different.
I feel I do agree with what you're saying. I do feel like they did set up in a certain way. I think it has something to do with that stains little thing that from the door. Obviously, it's hard to tell because they just leave it on a sort of like interpret it on how you will kind of thing. And because I don't really I understand bits and pieces, but I was watching it and I was a bit confused at the end. But as an Australian film, like you were saying, Dylan, they don't always heavily invest. It's quite shallow sometimes.
Yeah,
I think they went maybe a little bit too far. As in they just, I don't know. I don't feel like they had a proper ending, and so from my point of view, is that I expected a little more because the way they talked it up was so much higher. And obviously, with what I'm trying to say is that I compare it to The Babadook, and The Babadook is a great film of Australian horror.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, let me twist my words a bit here. The execution of the film, the look, all that sort of stuff, fantastic. There were some points that you guys made, and they are 100%. You've got this backstory, or you got this story, but you wish there was more to it backstory-wise. You wish there was a point or a connection at the end. You wish there was an answer being filled, you know what I mean? Questions being answered, all that sort of stuff.
I wanted closure.
Yeah, you want that sort of thing, because I was thinking about it, after I watched it, I'm like, it's sad that it had, it didn't have diversity. It's just another film, it executed well.
It's not that, is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, it didn't have, my thoughts are that it's a movie, and I like to think, ever since I watched Mother, ever since I watched Mother, I love what's that?
Is that the robot one?
No, Mother's the one where it's weird. It's a movie,
twins, isn't it? And
it's the one where the woman's in the house with the father, with her partner, and it gets weird.
Oh, that's with Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah, Jennifer Lawrence and the other guy. That's a a metaphorical movie about Mother Earth.
Yep.
So that's what I like. Ever since I watched that, I'm expecting horror. I don't know why I'm expecting horror films to have a deeper meaning like that movie. So my thoughts were this movie's about dementia.
Yeah. Yep. I felt that.
You know, I'm like, this feels like a movie about dementia, you know what I mean? The ending where they're laying in bed, it's a generational look from left to right. You've got the oldest who's being consumed by this thing that's making her lose her mind, which is dementia. And then you've got her, she checks her mum's back, like the youngest, and she's slowly getting it. So I feel like it's a movie about dementia, like subliminally.
Oh, I do agree with that.
Yeah, I can definitely see that now that you point it out.
Yeah. I mean, that actually opened my mind up to a bit more. And that's the thing. I feel like that's the thing. Like, if you think of it in that aspect, then yes, it makes sense the way the movie ended. But it sort of didn't explain why what was happening to her happened, because obviously that aspect. Obviously, dementia is obviously a terrible disease that and it goes through families.
Yeah,
and so to show that you're talking about how it went from the grandmother to her mother, and then and then obviously the daughter's obviously worried. But the fact that they chose to stay, I think it feels like they. Do you think that was because they want to stay because they're a family, or stay because obviously the mum's starting to get sickness already, kind of thing?
I feel like it's the same thing with dementia, you know, is you stick together as a family, finding a nursing home, all that sort of stuff. I think the reason why I'm so backed up on this dementia idea is that the Russo brothers produced it. Why? Okay, they did the Avengers, right? I understand that. They did a AAA film, a couple films or a few films. I don't know how many they directed, produced, blah, blah, blah. But the Russo brothers, you know, I know they're connected with Chris Hemsworth, you know, all that sort of stuff. And they did the what's the Extraction one?
Yep.
Both Australian sort of, I mean, it has no involvement. It's in India, but it has no, like, they've gone world. They've gone world genre. They're not American exclusive. No. For some reason, they've gone, you know, they've done Extraction in India with an Australian actor, right? But they produced, them and Jake Gyllenhaal produced an Australian film that's random. And I feel like as an integrity of those producers and how much they've created, I know it's comparative, but why would they be producing a film in Australia that's built with this and from a normal perspective, as you said, it didn't have much story to it. It's just point A, point B, point C. But when you throw in the dementia aspect, I feel like it's backed up by the fact that those guys produced it, and they wouldn't just do any random film because of their history with film.
I was going to say that. So now you've brought this to the forefront of my mind. It makes complete sense now, the story, because I myself have worked in aged care and worked a lot of my time in dementia, and now it puts it together. it puts it in aspect, like it puts it in perspective that, you know, her father was sick and he went and stayed out in that little cottage on his own.
Yeah,
and so he acted weird. Obviously, that's signs of dementia or Alzheimer's or whatever you want to put on.
Yeah.
And so then to show that, actually, I think the hidden story behind it is that all families have dementia, like how all families deal with dementia, and that it's actually a bigger topic than what people think it is.
Yeah, it is.
That actually makes
it does
really good broken down.
I feel like you can wrap it in, you know, the dementia aspect and wrap it up and tie it up into a little bow, and then that would make the film a lot better. It's the fact that, and it's a good way of how you execute a horror film, is you have people thinking about it afterwards so they can figure out what the meaning is. The fact that, look, I mean, there's also another direction you go where it's like, okay, well, why did they take pieces off the old cottage and put it on the new house or whatever? Like, you know, they didn't build the cottage up and into a new house. This cottage lived off the land, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It makes you think, you know, from a normal perspective, I'm like, this is haunted. This is like possessed house materials that have attached.
I was getting.
Yeah, that's the thing, that what's in the walls, Grandpa's ashes were knocked over, all that sort of stuff. What happens when she knocked him over? Is something bad, even worse going to happen? You know what I mean? All that sort of stuff. Hereditary had a conclusion at the end of it, which was a bizarre conclusion, but nonetheless, it was very good. But I'm just saying, like, with horror films, I feel like ever since Mother, it was
you're looking for more.
You got to look for the message
and
the
meaning.
Think. Yeah.
Because you're saying, because I mean, it's what me and Nick harp about this all the time, is that the Insidious movies, the Conjuring movies, they're not great films, and they're not. I don't think they're great horror movies. Like, they're not that scary.
Yeah. You watch. They're a one movie franchise.
Jump scares, just jump scares galore.
Yeah, and they're good for if you just want to watch a movie and that's it. You know what I mean? But other than that, every so often you just want more to something, like more to a film. Otherwise, it's just another film. It's just another horror film, basically. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
We always argue with one of our friends because he reckons the only scary thing is jump scares. And I'm the complete opposite. I think jump scares can be cheap sometimes. I feel like a good horror needs to have like a sinister vibe, like something going on that you don't see.
It builds suspense.
Yeah.
You need
the music and the tone.
To be scary.
Yeah. I think when it comes down to horror, there's when there's certain things that aren't that scary to most, but they have this really weird undertoned connection to you that makes you feel uncomfortable. It's kind of like me with Oceans. It's kind of like I also have a thing with I watched Attack on Titan live action, right? Someone, I don't know what it is. I think when an innocent, on The Simpsons where I think it's a Treehouse Horror.
Yeah.
Where Homer becomes Kong, or he is Kong, and he eats the little girl.
Yeah.
That sets an under connection, like a really eerie connection to me. People being eaten. I don't know what it is. It's like seeing someone, like, even on. Have you seen Attack on Titan, Scats?
Yeah.
He's like the biggest anime head.
Okay. So, yous don't have to say. I mean, yous actually have to be careful with me. I'm only up to.
I've finished it. So.
They freed. Historia and Eren and that giant founding titans heading towards the wall. That's as far as I am at the moment. So, with that sort of thing in the start of the I don't know why we're veering off topic, but
that's right.
In the start of the show, you've got all this character development, right? All these characters, they're all joined the 104th Cadet Corps, blah blah, all the all that sort of stuff. The minute an attack happens, you're seeing people getting eaten left, right, and center. It makes that's how you set up a story to show how mortal people are. You know what I mean? Like, that's what will get people going. Same thing with a horror movie. You can set people up for all this sort of stuff, and you feel like you have a connection to the person, because the only way a normal human being will feel horror is if they have a connection to that person. You see a guy, you see an extra in a horror movie, he's going to die, and he gets eaten. Your audience reactions most of the time nowadays is, oh, come on, man, he's right there. You could have done this, you could have done that. But people don't go, oh no, like they used to. Horror back in the 70s or the 60s, when it first came out, everyone was like, oh my God, because, you watch Dawn of the Dead, the first zombie film, first proper cultural zombie film from George Romero.
Yeah.
I can imagine what audiences would have felt back then.
Yeah, for sure.
You read articles about Alien, even.
Yeah, and Alien.
Shit before.
a creature that has never before been so dynamic, so creepy looking, so and people just went crazy over it. And I feel like,
I was just gonna say, like, I definitely do agree with you. It's when you're building up in the start of that story, you need to show that that everyone can be killed off.
Yeah, and characters need to be built in the start of a horror movie. Characters need to have people's empathy.
Yep.
Otherwise, and you can't go overboard with it. You can't make it depressive. You can't just be like, oh, here's a character. Oh, their parents died. This died. This died. This died. It just makes you feel sad.
Yeah. But anyways, going back to Relic, overall, guys, now I'm thinking about it. I feel like it's definitely a better film with your explanation now. And
I want to rewatch it now with like Dylan's thought process.
Yeah, do it. I that's what I thought. So.
But anyways, yeah, Dylan, thanks for coming on, man. Absolutely great chat. We're going to have to get you back on because we've got so much more stuff to talk about.
Yeah, I know. I talk so much. I'm sorry.
This is going to be our longest episode, I reckon.
I know. I think it's tipping an hour at the moment. So, but honestly, yeah, man, it's been great having you on this podcast, and obviously, shout out to your channel and all your stuff. You've done so well so far, and hopefully, you continue on. And if you get those ideas, you can push on and do better and do bigger and better things. But yeah, so. Just do you want to say your channel name again? I guess we've only got a few subscribers, so it won't do much to you. But
come check me out on YouTube. It's Tavsky. If you just type, I don't know, Toy Story bloopers, I'll be there on the list there, and you'll see my name. Just look out for the TAV, and yeah, that's where you'll find me.
And obviously for us, like I say, for the past few episodes now, obviously we're on YouTube, and we're kicking out those episodes fast and hard, and obviously we're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts as well. So if you listen to any of those, if you use any of those platforms, go listen to us on there. Help us out. Subscribe on everything that we have. It always helps us out. Dylan, once again, thank you for coming on. I should say, awesome experience, and obviously we'll have you on again. Nick, you got any final words?
No, that's it for me. I feel like it's long enough.
Thanks, boys, for having me. Thanks for letting me chew your ears off.
I think most of the time it's me. So Nick's used to having me talk all the time. So it's been good having somebody else on here. So,
yeah.
But anyways, guys, obviously, episode will be up, and we will be talking about. We've spoken about this last episode as well, but we will be talking about in the next episode about building our Gundams or a Gunpla. We are on the verge of talking about it, so it's just to talk about our experiences and the fun we had with it. So, anyways, guys, thanks for joining us today, and yeah, thanks for tuning in.
Peace out.
No worries. Peace out.